Hello.
Hi, Amy.
Hi.
Hi. We haven't been here in a while, but we're super happy to be here.
Yeah. Hey, guess what?
Chicken butt.
You matter.
Ah, you matter. Yay,
Yay.
thanks. So do you.
Thanks.
Whee!
This matters.
It does.
Yay. We are going to talk about
Jessica.
divisive things today. Surprise.
Yay. We're going to talk about divisive things and cause trouble.
Yeah.
Shenanigans.
Let's have hard conversations.
Yay. Good.
So, funny story. I am a public speaker, not a preacher, but last week, 2 weeks ago, I was asked to speak in church, and I taught from the Bible, but the lesson was about how to love others well, and especially as a faith community, how we can love others well, especially people who are different from us. And there actually are no others, according to Jesus. And so I talked about us. I told my church family about us.
I love that you talked about us in church.
Yeah.
So
it's actually a
exciting.
talk now I've done a few times. I'm just getting a lot of rinse and repeats out of this one talk I created.
I think rinse and repeat is good.
Hi, Jessica.
We're gonna, before we dive in though, we gotta let more people show up. I'm gonna share this so that more people will show up.
I should too.
I love that you talked about us in church though. How was it was it well received, or were people uncomfortable? Did you make people uncomfortable?
Well, I said the word abortion in church and
Woo!
genderqueer in church. And I don't think that's mentioned very often in our church. So, I have always been surprised. I make assumptions like most people, and I'm always assuming that people from the older generation would have a harder time. I have gotten many, many, many responses from different kinds of talks I've done in my faith community about us and about loving well. And mostly the older women who say, this is different and this is right.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So I got a lot of comments on Sunday a couple weeks ago saying this was needed. This is good. We need to talk about this in church.
That's really incredible. I love that.
It is beautiful.
Yay for the old ladies.
Speaking of preaching.
If you're here, tell us you're here, or else we won't be able to see you. Do you want to text Leanne and remind her to come on because she wanted us to?
Oh, she did.
She wanted you to text her because she's probably with the
Leanne.
client, but she wanted to listen. So
Listen now.
yes, there you go. So I am so excited because I am preaching in my church, the Church of the Good Samaritan in Corvallis. I'll give you the exact address.
Oh yeah, I haven't even asked
But
for that.
it's on the corner of 35th and Harrison in Corvallis, and I am preaching Sunday. I keep thinking it's Saturday today for some weird reason. I'm preaching at the 8 o'clock service and the 10:30 service. So if you want to come see me preach, it's going to be awesome.
Is this a first?
It's the first time I've ever preached. And someone just asked me to preach at the Unitarian Church in Orange County in a couple of weeks because I'm going to be in California. So I think I'm starting a trend.
This is jumping in with both feet.
On fire. Hi, Leanne. Look, Leanne's on. Yay.
It's because I text her.
Yeah, you texted and reminded her. Yay! So I'm really excited about preaching though, because my best friend, actually my best gay, said, "Are we going to call you the Reverend Dr. Melissa Bird?" And I was like, potentially. So yeah, I'm excited to see where this is going to lead me because I have no idea where it's going to go.
No kidding.
That's pretty exciting.
Did you know that Oregon politics made national news this week?
Oh, Oregon politics. God love it. I did know that because the liberals are really excited about what our governor did.
You know what I've done this week? I bet you haven't. Is to read the news, I go to cbsnews.com. Why? I don't know. And then next, when I can't fall asleep, it's CNN. And then next is Fox News. Ugh. No, listen, I don't like Fox News.
I know you don't.
I also don't like CNN.
Right. I don't know.
I will read all news because I will hear the same story 2 different ways.
Yeah.
And I feel like that makes me a better, more informed person when I don't get it from one source.
I mean, I think it does. You should read Rant Media too, RANTT. They're the only media outlet. Rant Media is the only media outlet that has done a week by week rundown of everything that the president has done. All the policies.
I have no interest in reading
No,
that.
but here's what's interesting is it's actually the only space where you can see where every single policy that's been implemented
Okay.
It is on Rant Media. So they do a weekly rundown if that's something you're interested in. But back to the task at hand. Oregon
Yes.
made national news.
Oh, I was going to give you one more thing about that.
Yeah.
Nowhere Briefing, like KNOW, Nowhere
Briefing.
Good. Sends you daily news headlines saying the Republican headline, the Democrat headline.
Ooh,
so
that's
it
exciting.
is an incredible resource.
That's amazing.
To see the same story, both sides, in a small email every morning.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Who knew?
Highly
Who knew
unusual.
people wanted
Who
balanced
knew?
news?
I mean, I didn't know.
Okay, so how did Oregon make the news this week? Do you?
Okay, so Oregon made the news this week because our governor was mad because all of the Republicans walked off the floor, and
All of our Republican
elected officials in the Senate walked off the floor, and so they couldn't finish the budget bill.
I think I read it. It was specifically because of climate change language and legislation. Mm-hmm. So the Republicans didn't show up, or they walked out.
They walked out, and so they could filibuster because they needed them to vote on the budget.
Okay.
And they didn't like the language. There's a couple of bills that are up right now. One is something that has to do with the Department of Human Service and Foster Care. One has to do with harassment in schools. And I know this because my senator is running those ones. Mm-hmm. And then the budget bill is the biggest one. And they can't vote on any of those without the Republicans.
So what did our governor do, Kate Brown?
Kate Brown threatened to arrest all the Republicans if they didn't come back.
She sent the state troopers after them.
But the reason Amy wanted to talk about this is because of the irony of the whole thing, which is...
A couple years ago, she tweeted, "Dems, don't show up. Walk away. Make a statement." And it's just ridiculous how everyone plays the game. But people like their own headlines. So they like this, Dems like this one. And the headline is, "Governor sends police to go round up the Republicans to do their job." When years ago, she encouraged her side to do the same thing. See, guys, there is nuance. You got to look at all sides. And this is nonsense. It's a chess game.
Well, so, hey, Becky. So this is really the thing that keeps people like you out of politics, right?
I roll my eyes.
You're looking at all this going, no,
out.
Forget it. I'm out. I don't want to deal.
Yeah. So how do we not get fatigued on foolish games?
Well, I think one of the things that we should probably be doing is encouraging our own elected officials to govern. Like, if your elected official is one of the ones who walked off the floor, maybe you could send them an email or call them and ask why. And be like, why aren't you there? Because they do have a duty. This doesn't matter what political party you're from. They have a duty to be there until the end of the session to lawmake.
Yeah.
Their job. I mean, it's not like these guys are like going to work and like putting together phones. Like their job is to make a law and pass or not pass bills, right? And so I sort of feel like it's their duty to stay there. I mean, we're paying them to be there. Yeah. We're not paying them a lot, but we're paying them to be there. Yeah. So with our tax dollars, and so they may as well actually work.
Show up.
I mean, no matter how pissed off you are at the opposing political
party, show up.
Shouldn't you go to work?
Yeah. No, you should throw a tantrum.
Hey, Rich.
Because that works. I sent you, speaking of local officials, I sent you a message 2 weeks ago. There is a local official that voted in a politician in our state who found out about the Don't Give Up movement and sent a very flattering message to me saying, "I am so happy to represent this constituent. She's doing this movement. It's amazing. If I met her, I'd say great." And I wrote him a private message and I said, "Do you remember a couple years ago, I wrote you telling how disappointed I was in you?" And he goes, "No." I was like, "Yeah, thank you for saying you love the movement and wish you met me. But I actually wrote you and said, I don't like your tone. I am your potential voter base, the more conservative base. And I've been really disappointed in how you talk about your opponents." And I still sense that. And he's like, "Well, I'm not perfect and blah, 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 blah." And then we got into Bible talk and we got into all things. And I'm like, "I think you're doing it wrong. And I might not vote for you."
Ooh, girl.
Yeah. So thank you for making me feel like those matter. Those exchanges matter. That I would respond to him and say, "I want to tell the truth. I don't like the way that you're leading me."
I mean, those responses do matter though, Amy. Like that's the thing, like especially on the state, county, and city level. I mean, the federal level, who knows what matters and what doesn't. But when we're talking about state politics, this stuff matters. And because sometimes those people end up going up to the federal level.
Yeah.
And so I think that I just love that you talk to your elected official. I just love how it all comes back around again to this idea and this notion that it's all about conversation and the nuance of the conversation. Speaking of nuance, in a couple of weeks, my interview with Pantsuit Politics is coming out on their podcast.
On theirs. In a couple of weeks.
Isn't that exciting? I got interviewed by Pantsuit Politics, and so it's
a big deal.
It is a big deal. And I talked about us.
You did? Oh.
Yeah. So
That's
I'm excited. And I just really love that you brought up the whole thing that happened here in Oregon, though, because I think it's a really big, it's such a hypocrisy. Like, it doesn't matter who the political party is that has the majority. It should be even, but it's not. And so whoever has the majority, I just love that you brought up that they were the ones who were going to walk off the floor a couple years ago.
They're just throwing tantrums. And you know what? I think there's all kinds of chess moves. I don't think it's just a tantrum. I think it's calculated. I think but listen, elected officials, we think it's stupid.
Yeah.
So your job. You guys all playing the game might see the strategy, but us here on the outside don't want to vote for that crap.
Yeah, well, and no matter what the strategy is, you shouldn't be walking off the floor.
Yeah.
Like, if you have bill making to do and you need to pass our budget so Oregon can continue to move on.
And then when you're governor to grab headlines by saying you're going to go round them up by sending police to their homes, just
right. Rich says, I'm not sure there's anything we can do. They have a duty, but this is stupidity in government to the extreme. Well, I think there's lots we can do, because I think we can talk to our elected officials and be like, I don't like your tone.
Even on Facebook.
By the way, I don't like your tone and I vote for you. So if you want me to keep voting for you, you might want to focus and pay attention.
Yeah, right. This is great. Yeah. You wanted to talk about something in particular this week that is not necessarily a foreign topic that we've never talked about. We have.
Right.
But you want to talk about it again, and I do too.
I want to dig into it a little meatier. Yeah. So in my blog, I think it was last week, I talked about women shaming other women. Because one of the things that I truly believe in my heart, I believe that it is actually the patriarchy is intentionally pitting women against each other and keeping us divided in order to continue to attack women with policy. And so one of the things that I've noticed in hi Sarah, one of the things I've noticed in the upsurge of anti-abortion legislation is that women are intentionally being pitted against each other. And I sent a message to a friend of mine on Twitter, and I said, I believe that our bodies are going to continue to be used as weaponized, because I feel like this legislation is weaponizing who we are as women, and in order to continue a cultural divide among women. And I actually think we as women want the same things. We want to be able to have families when we're ready to have families, and have children when we're ready to have children. We approach it very differently. But that doesn't mean that we don't really want the same things. The ability to choose whether or not we become a mother or a parent at a given time in our lives. And we approach this differently. But the intention is the same. And so I've been thinking more about because I look at if you look at the picket lines outside of abortion clinics, for example, and all these women screaming at these other women and telling them that they're going to hell and that they're evil and they're wrong. And if you just walk over to this side of the sidewalk, we will protect you and hold you and love you. But you can't walk in there because nobody in there is good. Everyone in there is evil. And this all or nothing, us versus them, shaming of women by women, I think is actually intentional. Yeah.
I know some people who have, not very many, one person recently I didn't know very well told me about her experience. And then also I follow pro-life women who do stand outside of abortion clinics. And I'm very surprised to hear that those signs weren't mad and their tone wasn't mad, but it was, there's another choice. And we're here to support you. And I wonder if those messages that are unique and are loving, but trying to stand for something, get lost in this sea of the shaming voices that stand around them and yell. So I think there are people that are they have the passion inside them like you do. They're trying to do something with it. And I think in the right intent, and even maybe the words are kind. They're not, you're going to hell, but there might be a different way. And we could disagree on, should they stand in front of the clinic and do that? But I think anyway, their intent is totally lost in the sea of other people that are more harmful. I think there are people that are trying to do it better.
But should they be doing it at all?
I know, I get that.
My question is, should they be doing it at all, or should we be coming together as women in community and having conversations about why is that woman even going in there in the first place?
Yeah, I think what's difficult, and what I have found difficult where I stand being pro-life, is that people will say I'm shaming them when my heart and intent and my words are not.
Right.
Simply because of my belief system about pregnancy and about a baby. So I guess what I'm doing is trying to feel a little protective in that, will we call it shaming simply because I think a thing?
Right.
No matter the tone I use, no matter what sign I hold, no matter what I try to do, that will just be called shaming. I don't know. Because
I don't know either. I don't know if anybody else has any big ideas. People should be able to disagree and stand up for their beliefs, even if I disagree. Yeah, totally. But I think I'm trying to get past that too. Like I really want to start thinking about, how do we address this in a way that I just really want to start talking about it in a much more intentional way, I think. Because I think we get caught up in that us versus them mentality, and I don't think it's healthy anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it was ever healthy in the first place.
Agreed.
I see this all the time in pro-choice circles. Like they're like, I'm constantly in chat rooms with pro-choice people.
There's still chat rooms? Wait, hold up. Where are chat rooms?
Well, they're like in the instant messenger, the DMs, in the DMs, like on Twitter and Facebook, you have private groups where there's constant conversation.
I did not know this.
Oh yeah, constant conversation.
Okay.
And so I'm constantly in there, and people are like, pro-life people are evil. They must be destroyed. They must believe the way we believe. And I'm like, I don't think that's true. And they're like, what are you talking about? What are we fighting for? And I'm like, well, what I'm fighting for is my bodily autonomy. So that if I happen to be raped and I get pregnant, then I want to be able to make a choice about what happens with that pregnancy. That's what I'm fighting for. Because as you and I have talked about before on here, and if any of you are joining us for the first time, I am not pro-abortion, but I am pro-choice. Yeah. I'm infertile. If I could get pregnant, I probably would keep it. But I'm also a victim of sexual assault. And I do not believe I would have kept a child had I gotten pregnant as a result of that rape. And so, but I think that is the nuance of this issue, right?
Well, you bring an interesting point, because we started with shaming other people who have extremely opposing beliefs on the topic. But now you're kind of talking about, well, you're still talking about that, but we've talked about how they're shamed internally on both sides.
Yes.
Well, how have you seen that in the pro-choice?
Well, in the pro-choice sort of side of things, and I think, hi, Aaliyah, in the pro-choice side of things, there's no room for, I've not experienced room for multiple points of view when it comes to reproductive justice. And so one thing that kind of blows people's minds, and when I talk about reproductive justice, I'm actually talking about that framework that was created by women of color to talk about women being able to raise their children in a safe and healthy environment. And so it covers a lot of different things. But one of the things that it covers is it gives permission for women to be pro-life within the framework of reproductive justice. And people don't acknowledge that very often. And so when I pull out the essays that are written by women of color in particular that are pro-life, that talk about why they're also in favor of reproductive justice, people like lose their minds.
Like, no, you can't be both and.
No, you can't be both and.
You're either or.
And this is this polarizing conversation, I think, is what is really troubling for me. And I wanted to bring it here to this forum because, number one, what's going to happen, because what usually happens is that you and I talk about this and then like hundreds of people watch it afterwards. But I also want it to be sort of record, of public record, that maybe I would like to suggest that we start talking about this differently. And I don't know if you have seen a sort of a mishmash of messages within the pro-life movement. But in pro-life policy, like you see it all the time, like women are host bodies and like all this weird, like super right-wing rhetoric, like such polarizing verbiage, but that's not your experience as a pro-life woman and how you experience this conversation.
You know, I was sitting with a bunch of women pastors recently, about a month ago, or women in spiritual leadership. And I had mentioned, someone mentioned standing outside an abortion clinic with a sign and how it kind of didn't feel right, but she's trying to stand for something. And I said, you know, and I talked about our discussions, and I said, she's actually against abortion, but pro-choice. And two of the women pastors in the room said, that's me.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's nuance to this conversation.
Because we make assumptions of what people think or feel. And I was really, really surprised by that. And then I felt really defensive because then it seemed like a majority in the room felt that way. And I still am not on that train. So I'm like, well, I still don't think that. It got really weird.
But you got to have a conversation about it without
I think
feeling
we need
shame.
more of that. No, there's no shame. There's just always risk.
Right.
And I think we're quick to call that shame. They're shaming me. No, there's just risk to be misunderstood. There's risk and disagreement, but it's not always shame. There is, but there's not always.
The shame comes in the us versus them polarizing mentality.
You're awful,
right, I'm wrong.
and you're awful
for
thinking
what you're thinking.
Yeah. I don't know how you break that because I think there's money in hateful rhetoric. That's so obvious with the media. And that's how you rally a base. So I don't know how you break that.
I don't either. I want everyone to start talking like we do. It's like my whole mission. I just want people to start having Missy Amy circles.
We should brand this. If any of you are branding experts,
Missy
Amy
Amy
get on
circles.
this.
That'd be awesome.
We don't wear pantsuits, so we don't need to fall into pantsuit politics like they do.
Nope. Well, we don't talk politics all the time either.
No, we don't. We talk
do you think there's a solution to this?
Oh, I think it takes people. Oh man, I don't know, friend.
Are there conservative?
I don't think so.
Is there a lot of shaming that conservative moms do to other conservative moms? Like judgment, like in other parts of sort of this idea, like for example, in education, like homeschool versus public school, clean house versus not clean house.
Oh yeah.
Like, are there spaces where there's a lot of shaming that takes place?
Oh yeah,
among women about other stuff that's not so politically divisive.
Yeah, I just don't hang out with those people. I don't hang out with those kind of people.
Right.
In my friend group, I have a really unique situation where that just doesn't exist. And we have all kinds of parenting. You know, we all differ a lot in how we parent, but there's never any judgment or shame. It's quite beautiful. Let me tell you, it is liberating. It is beautiful if we can give that permission to other people.
Right.
Yeah. But in general, yeah. I have a friend, you know, it's really interesting is I have a friend, Missy, whose belief systems, we are probably in agreement on almost all things. All the nuanced things we're like in agreement on. But I live near Portland, which is mostly liberal, and she lives in a place that's all conservative and preach from the pulpit. And so we can read the same article and have the same belief system, and she will feel defensive, like, but Christians need to, and I'll feel defensive, but liberals need to understand. So it's interesting how we're interpreting news and stories and legislation and things differently with the same belief system, but feeling defensive of different sides.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Isn't that fascinating? I sent her an article. I said, this is so good. It was an article about how people of faith, we need to stop feeling like we have to apologize on behalf of God for what he said was right or wrong.
Whoa.
And I sent that to her. I'm like, this is interesting right now in our culture. And she's like, ugh. I'm like, what? Like, it's true. Like, as a Christian, I feel like I should defend. She goes, as Christians, we need to stop. Like, we believe the same thing, but we read it from the different angles of her feeling like there's no nuance where she's from for liberal thought. And here, where there's no nuance where I live of conservative thought. It's just fascinating having conversations with her. So the shaming, we're experiencing shaming in different ways, believing the same things. It's interesting.
I got to figure this out. Like, this is like, I'm wrestling with this.
Do you guys have ideas?
Yeah, right?
Like,
if you have ideas, put them in the comments, because I really want to hear.
How do we change this?
How do we
change the conversation?
Not just change the conversation, but have conversations.
I think why I don't think it's possible to change this issue or discussion around this issue. I think it requires a lot of emotional maturity to not get defensive, to listen, to empathize and go, I get why you would feel that way, even if I disagree. It's our bodies. Well, like, it's important.
Yeah.
And when you have personal experiences or trauma associated with that, have a calm conversation about it. I think that's a tall order to ask of people, no matter what side they're from. I think it is absolutely required to make progress. I don't know if people would be willing to lay down their judgments and pain to have a conversation.
But don't you think that that's where we need to start moving towards?
Yes, but I don't know if we could realistically expect that from people. You think so?
I don't know. I really want to, though, because, like, I sit in my pain like, when we talk in particular, like, I'm like, woo, that's like owie, right? Like, you and I have shed tears and done stuff and had really intense conversation. I just really...
Are you getting away from me? Are you getting
I'm trying to figure out this damn camera.
I know, it keeps auto-adjusting.
I know, it keeps flaring us back and forth. It's irritating me. No, it's not about you. It's not about you, But
wouldn't that be funny if we started talking about hard things and we both end up
like listen, lady. But I just think I wonder if for the rest of 2019, and especially as we're moving into 2020, because y'all shit's about to hit the fan. What if, as women, instead of allowing the political machine to rip us apart, we actually made a commitment to connect?
I just had this idea.
What?
I think that after this, you and I should collaborate on a pledge. And I think we pass it around and ask other women to get on board. Okay, but how are we going to help them move past the pledge? I'm all about the pledge. But then what's the next step? What do we encourage women to do next? They won't do it. Tell me. Get in proximity with people who think different. Yes. Because now we're human and now it's not an issue. They're people. Yeah. That's not going to happen. I don't think everybody's going to do it, but don't you think that a lot of people will do it? I mean, we're connected to really amazing people with capacity to critically think and feel and empathize. Yeah. I mean, there are probably people listening that are doing this. Maybe we should bring this to Missy and do it live in her community and see what happens. I don't know. And see if you're watching this, you let us know what you think about that. Would it just be the three of us in one room? Potentially. Maybe 5 of us. But seriously, like, I mean, I want to do this in our community in Corvallis because it's really interesting what happens when you get some conservative folks and some liberal folks in a room in Corvallis. People are like, it's funny. Like, we could go on a roadshow titled Roadshow! How to Survive 2020. I'm serious about this. A liberal and a conservative surviving. How to get killing zombies together. But I mean, Leanne's like get together, meet, and talk to the issues together. Yeah. I mean, I think that's right. Like, I really think women need to sit in the kitchens, and I've told you this before. Like, we need to sit around the kitchen tables or in our living rooms and really have these conversations. I think we need to have a roadshow, though. Well, the question is, where are they supposed to do this? Some of my fondest memories are of the roadshow in Utah. Just for the record, you did a roadshow? Yeah, the Mormon Church loves the roadshow. I didn't know they did that. Oh my God. Every 2 years. It's a thing. What? Oh yes. The roadshow is a jam. Oh, I feel like they'd have more budget than we would.
I can fundraise the budget. No problem. But really, okay, so maybe I love the pledge. I'm all over the pledge, but I want to do more.
Well, the pledge is this,
especially in 2020. Like, y'all, stuff's coming. It's already ugly out there. And we're about to go to war, so there's that.
I freaking hate it.
Yeah, it's terrible.
See, and this is
women, we are the builders of community. We are the ones who build community. We create human life in our bodies. Like, this is a thing. Well, some of us do. This is a thing. Like, we need to do something.
Okay.
This is my mission. Sarah, how do these living room conversations impact policy that's made by men? Oh, yes. Stop talking about the Kardashians and The Bachelor and really focus on real issues. Sarah, I love this question. How do these living room conversations impact policy that's made by men? So I don't know. And that is I never would have thought to ask that question. So thank you, Sarah. Love your face. I think that is a really important question.
Well,
because men are making decisions about education when we're the ones who have to deal with education. They're making decisions.
Wait, why do we have to deal with education?
Because a majority of women are the ones who are doing homework with their kiddos, right? Like, we are the ones who are doing carpool and going back and forth because it's women's work. That's what we do, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, some men step up and do awesome jobs. I'm not discounting you.
That would be my husband.
Don't think I'm not discounting you.
Yeah.
But
you know what I think, Sarah, and I'm not an optimist at all, but I think if this scaled community to community, that eventually we're the voter base that what they say doesn't appeal to us anymore and our vote changes.
And we could get more women to run for office.
Yeah.
Because on both sides.
Yeah.
Because and even though people often get mad at me for saying I want more moderate Republican women in office, because the more Democratic women we have in office and the more moderate Republican women we have in office, and by the way, the more viable third party women we have in office.
Please, third party.
The more the shift start, and it's not going to happen at that federal level, but it can very much happen at a city, county, and state level. I mean, for the first time ever, Nevada's got a majority of women in their legislature, and the way they're legislating is totally different. Totally different now. Because it's mostly women. So Sarah, to your point, I think it's got to be a multiple prong approach. My wheels are turning. We have these living room conversations. We start talking about nuance and not being so polarized and us versus them and all this other stuff. And then we also work to identify women that we can really get into office and help them win. Not just identify them, but really help them win. Who represent, our values as women and community builders and the people that hold the family. Because it doesn't matter if you're conservative or liberal. Women are like the linchpin. Even if you're a single dad, you still surround yourself with women to help you with your kids. That's what you do. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happens.
Yeah. Can I take a whoop?
Yeah, go for a whoop. Sarah, I love that question. Thanks.
You think a woman's going to be the next president?
I hope so. I just want a woman to be the president.
You don't even care who the woman is.
Well, I do. But I'm not going to say who I want it to be.
She's not running again, friend.
No. I know.
I
can't stand people saying that Hillary's going to win again. I'm like, stop it.
Oh, they are?
Oh, God, yes. It's so ridiculous.
They won't let the dream die.
Well, you know what? The dream died.
It did.
Because Russia hacked our election. But that's another Facebook Live. No, I do want it. I want a woman to be the leader of this nation. It will change everything.
I'm looking forward to that day as well.
I think it would be beautiful.
But I don't want it to be just any woman, so that's...
Well, I don't want it to be just any woman.
Yeah.
I have my thoughts on who the woman should be.
You do?
I do.
Yeah.
I'm not
Is
ready
it you?
to say... Oh, of course it's me. I would be a great president. I've always wanted to be the president. Ever since I was little, I've always wanted to birth a baby, and I've always wanted to be the president of the United States. So when we were little and we were playing, Kristen, if you watch this later, you're going to know I'm talking about you. I would put a baby up my shirt and I'd be pregnant and I would be the president of the United States.
At the same time.
Oh, yeah. I was always the pregnant president.
Man, your feminism started early.
It did. Do you want to be the teacher? No, I want to be the president. I want to be in charge of things. Yeah. Always.
Damn straight.
Okay, I'm going to take a hootie wink. Ready?
I don't even know what that means. Yes.
Don't give up. Hit the Washington Post.
Today, the Washington Post did an article about the Don't Give Up movement, and things have kind of imploded over here.
Well, the reason I bring it up is because it's the reason Amy and I became friends, is that Don't Give Up movement. And so every time I see something
I haven't really
amazing,
thought about that, but that's kind of true, isn't it?
it is, because you were there with your signs, and I was like, I'm going to buy like 6 of those and put them in my yard, and then look what happened.
Any more hate mail?
No, I haven't gotten any more hate mail, but I'm still recognized as Dr. Do Nothing Useful.
Oh my gosh, that's actually a great one-liner. Yeah.
So you hit the Washington Post. Tell us more about that.
4 weeks ago, we were in Maui, my family and I, first family vacation.
Wow,
and I had
yay.
a friend just doing orders every few days just to keep up because we'd get 5 orders a day. I mean, pretty minimal. She called me the last night we were in Maui and said, "You're running out of product. We can't get through all the orders." And I thought, what? And so I opened my email for the first time in 6 days, which I was really proud of myself for not working. And an article went viral about a stay-at-home dad in Seattle putting out yard signs. And I got asked for press media kits. I don't know what that is. So I Googled it and made one.
Nice.
I've been on TV. I've been on radio live. I've all over the country. We've done more orders in a month we have in 2 years, for sure. And today, after the Washington Post article posted, we got the whole another wave. So going viral has some interesting side effects. One of those, which is kind of sticky, is that a lot of people have decided that's a cool idea and then just copy and pasted it and put their branding and website on the sign.
Oh, that's nice.
And while I don't try to own or copyright encouraging words on yard signs, it does not feel honoring. I've had a lot of sleepless nights the last few weeks of seeing lots of people tag me in things that aren't us. And feel like if we did do this for profit, which we don't, if we did, people wouldn't copy and paste it because they respect the business, even if it's kind, even if it's a kind business.
That's
We're a
interesting.
nonprofit and we're missional and we don't want to pay ourselves. Well, then I'm just going to copy and paste and do it. Well, there's an honor and integrity, and we don't brand our signs, and you're branding the signs. It's been actually the emotional week for me.
Huh.
Yeah, knowing how
closely
closely well, would you call it stealing if they're trying to save people's lives and encourage other people?
Well, but
see, it's awkward.
I feel like you should get credit for that. You came up with this whole damn idea.
Well, it's just awkward.
I mean, that's like someone stealing the graceful revolution from me.
It would feel like, yeah, go do the thing, but at the same time, that feels weird.
Yeah, no one's taking the graceful revolution because I'm trademarking that shit.
Did you?
I am. I'm working on it right
now. You
are?
Mm-hmm. That's great.
I know, because God gave it to me and whispered it in my ear, and now I'm giving it to everybody else.
Application trademark. God gave it to me and no one else. So
it's
approve.
Nice.
Thank you for asking about the movement. It's been really exciting.
It's beautiful.
It's been wild, and it's passing on really important messages.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Okay, trick question. Ready? What's your favorite thing about summer?
Sleeping in, not making lunches, and not hurrying kids to the bus stop. What about, okay, question for you. What are you preaching on Sunday?
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I am preaching about the demon-possessed man. So I got the part of our liturgy where I get to talk about how Jesus helps a demon-possessed man get rid of his demons. And I also get to talk about Elijah, the prophet Elijah, my new favorite troublemaker, Elijah. I have a lot of similarities with Elijah because I also am a prophet and a troublemaker. So I've been teasing all that out. And then the other part of the liturgy I get to talk about is how I'm a child of God. And so that has brought up some really interesting things, actually, because I was raised in the LDS church until I was about 8. And we sing a song in primary called I Am a Child of God. And he has kept me here and sent me here and given me parents. And I'll go more into it in church. But what is really amazing in sort of preparing for my sermon is that it has risen in me this conflict I have about, am I really lovable by God if I have had premarital sex and smoked and drank and I'm bisexual, and I'm all of these things. And oh, by the way, I also cannot make a human being with my body.
Mm-hmm.
So does that make me less of a woman in his eyes? So it has been...
And the answer is...
No.
Yeah.
But it has been catastrophic in my house the last week because
It
I have
has.
been just roiling in all this emotion. So it's going to be really good.
Yeah. Can I bring pom-poms or should I keep that home?
Oh, bring pom-poms.
And
it's the Episcopal Church.
Sure, I know.
So also
says,
bring
go,
Missy, and bring wine because the Episcopals love the wine.
I don't like wine. How about hard cider?
Okay.
You know what's funny is I've grown
Totally
up in the
joking.
church. Yeah, I grew up in the church, and I had to text her and be like, "What do I wear
What
on
do I
Sunday to
wear?"
your church?" Because churches are different. I don't
No, you
know.
can wear whatever you want.
You
And I asked Simon, Father Simon, I was like, do I get vestments? Like, what happens
What's
here?
our vestment?
The robes.
Oh,
We have a very formal church when it comes to
see,
that
I shouldn't
tradition.
wear jeans.
No, you wear jeans. I wear jeans all the time.
Oh. Do you get it?
No, guess what I get to wear? He's like, you know what, Dr. Bird, you should wear your graduation robe when you got your PhD. That's your vestment. And I was like, oh, yes, it is.
Are you gonna like sew tassels on it and stuff? I
No.
can't imagine just this plain.
Oh, it's not plain.
Oh, it's
Oh,
not.
no, it's a thing. I'm so excited.
Oh, that's great. Well, friends, another week, another discussion, another headline news, and the 2020's coming.
If any of you like have some ideas for how we can really literally expand this into bringing more women into this,
Yeah.
because we did our thing in Dundee, maybe we need to do another one
And
somewhere
it was
else.
wildly successful. And you know what? I think it would be really easy to copy if there were good facilitators.
Yeah.
Where we don't have to be there. If you're
No.
across the world, you could do it too.
Yeah, but
But
you have to be willing to be vulnerable and raw and have
You gotta
hard
lead by
conversations.
example.
Yeah,
and steward the environment well. You know,
Yeah.
like there's a lot of tenderness there, but let's do it again.
we could do
Pinky
it.
promise.
We could
Let's do it again.
Yeah, totally.
Let's do it in the next 3 months.
Yes, let's do it.
2 months.
Game on.
Corvallis?
Yes! Perfect.
Yeah?
We'll do it in Corvallis.
All right.
We're coming, people.
Coming
Be
after
prepared. Okay, love you all. Have a great day. Happy Friday. Happy summer solstice. It's the longest day of the year. Enjoy the sunshine.
It is already?
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
See ya.